Oh my gosh, how did we get here? How are we already about to hit these two huge milestones as a family? Like, what? Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here and you randomly clicked on this video, you're probably gonna be a little confused, but that's okay, we can still hang out. But if you are new, my name's Katie, and I typically make videos about adoption and foster care and all of that stuff, but I also like to do other videos like this, little chatty ones. So I was just reflecting recently because our family is about to hit some really big milestones as a family, and it just really makes me think about how far we have come together and all of these obstacles we've overcome and things we're still working on, but it's just something I thought would be fun to reflect on. If you've been around for a while, you might remember that when we first began the adoption process to adopt our two older kids, which was after we adopted our youngest, that I did a couple videos about just like updating on the process and how I was feeling. Those are some long chatty videos. They were basically my free therapy for myself, just chatting away to you. But I realized I haven't done that in a long time. And so I thought it would be fun not to go that in depth because I've realized that there's a limit to what people really care about watching. But I wanted to share with you, first of all, this really big milestone we're reaching with our two older kids, which is that they have almost been with us for exactly 3 years. Now, to you, 3 years may sound like a really random number, like why is that significant? I mean, good for you, but to me, 3 years is really significant because before our two older kids came to live with us and be a part of our family, they were in a really loving, wonderful foster home with an 81-year-old woman who they call grandma, and they were with her for 3 years. And I just remember being so amazed that they had been with her for that long, because if you know anything about foster care, you know how often placements get disrupted and kids are moved from home to home. And I just remember thinking it was so great that they had been in that home for 3 years. They had had the same loving caregiver taking care of them, being with them every day. And I just thought that was really significant. And I also remember being like slightly intimidated. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're not gonna wanna leave her. They have this huge bond with her. They've been with her for so long. Like, I know nothing about them. I'm just getting to know them. And so it just hit me recently. I was like, oh my gosh, we are almost to the 3-year mark from when they first moved in with us, which honestly just blows my mind that we are now at the point where they will have lived with us for as long as they lived with her. And I think in my mind, she just still is like light years ahead of us in terms of how well she knows them and how she knows how to handle things with them. And I remember when they first moved in, I was on the phone with her like every week, picking her brain, telling her all my feelings, and she was so kind and she would listen. She'd give me advice and she would let me know like what behaviors she saw and that I wasn't crazy, and they did that with her too. And so I don't know, it's just so weird to me to think that we are now at the point that she was at, where we know them pretty much as well as she did. And it also made me realize like, oh my gosh, we have made so many memories with our kids and so many experiences that it's to the point I can't even remember all the stuff we've done with them. And it's weird to be at that point when you go from feeling like complete strangers, being complete strangers, and now being as close with them as she once was as well. And like, she's still a part of their lives. We still visit, we still talk to her. So it's not like she's not close with them, but it's just different because they've been living with us now for so long. And I don't know, I just think it's really cool to sit back and reflect on that and to see how far we've come as a family and how far each of my kids individually have come from that time. Like, I think about the ways that my kids have grown as siblings together and accepting one another and playing together. And sure, did I just spend last weekend breaking up tons of arguments? Yes, I did. But it's so much better than it used to be. And there's like this love underneath it now that wasn't quite there before. It's like Beauty and the Beast when she's like, there must be something there that wasn't there before. It's kind of like that. And so I just think about that. I think about how far our kids have come like in school. I think about how far they've come in managing anxiety and managing stress and anger and all of those things. And I also look at how far like God has brought me in my own like mental health journey. And I was pretty open and vulnerable about my experience with post-adoption depression after our first adoption. And I also shared a little bit of that with our second adoption as well. But I was like deep in the trenches of really struggling with especially anxiety after our second adoption. Well, after they moved in with us. And it's just amazing to look back and see how far I've come from that point. And it really hit me the other day because I found an old journal. Like I have these notebooks, I'm obsessed with carrying around a notebook with me. And I had been writing down like some of my anxieties or worries or whatever in my journal. And so this was from a couple years ago now. And I found it and I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize how bad it was like until I went back to look at that and compare it to how I feel now. And I'm just like, wow, God is so good to have provided me with the supports I needed to be in a better spot now. And those supports have looked like a lot of different things. They've looked like good friends who have walked me through things. They've looked like my husband supporting me and caring for me and caring for our kids when I couldn't be there in the way that I wanted to be. It's looked like doing therapy. I did therapy for quite a long time. And it has even looked like taking medication. And I want to be open with that is something I have personally done that's made a world of difference for me going through this kind of transition process. I'm just so grateful to see like how God used all those different puzzle pieces to bring me where I am now and to have such a better relationship with my kids, to have just a better outlook on life, to be less worried and less anxious, and just feel like a lot more confident in my journey in motherhood, and to not question everything I do so much and be hard on myself. Like I just look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to give past me a hug and be like, you're doing fine. Like you're doing okay. So yeah, the 3-year mark just has me thinking about a lot of stuff. And I just wanted to share that because I know for those of you who follow those videos, I haven't really updated it. I've done a lot more informational videos on adoption and foster care, which a lot of you have seemed to really enjoy. But I wanted to give just kind of a personal update as well. And obviously our kids have grown a ton, like academically, socially, emotionally, physically as well. Like they're getting a lot taller than they used to be. I won't go into all the details of that because I want to respect their privacy, but you know, sometimes I do just have to sit back and remember like where they started and where they are now. And it's pretty incredible when you think about it, especially with all they were up against. And then the second really exciting milestone that's coming up is that my husband Nick and I are approaching very soon our 10-year wedding anniversary. Like what? How am I old enough to have been married for 10 years? Some may argue I'm not old enough because we got married when we were 22. I look back and I think about myself at 22 and I'm like, I felt like a grown-up, but now when I see 22-year-olds, I don't think like, oh yeah, they're like totally ready for marriage. So I don't know. I mean, our marriage journey has been really good. Like, I think we talk about this a lot, how people kind of scare you about marriage and they're like, oh, just you wait. Once you've been married for 5 years or 2 years even or whatever, then you won't be so lovey-dovey and think everything is sweet. And the truth is, I feel like marriage has gotten sweeter every year because the more that we have walked through life together and we've gone through these mountaintops and valleys, we know each other better. We've supported each other through all those highs and lows. And there's like this true intimacy and true knowing of one another and support of one another that I just feel like you can't have in the honeymoon phase. So if you are someone who's like newlywed and people say that to you, just don't listen to them. I'm like, please don't project your own misery onto me because that's not been my experience. But I literally was afraid that I was someday going to be like, oh my gosh, why did I marry this person? It has not happened yet. So we're good there. And you know, another thing about marriage that I always think about is how it must be so hard for people who, if you're having trouble with your kids, like where you've adopted and then your marriage is also struggling, like I can't imagine how strong you have to be to get through that, because I always tell Nick, I'm like, I am so glad that like God has just made our marriage easier on us, because I just know that I would be so stressed out. Like if I didn't have someone who I could be on the same page with when kids' behaviors are kind of like off the charts and we don't know what to do, it's just so nice to have someone to talk to and like to rely on, and who listens and who I can listen to. You know, there's just good stuff. So I'm just really grateful. So to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, I've mentioned this maybe like in passing on my channel, but we are getting ready to head to France together for 12 days. This is the longest we've ever been away from our kids, but the kids are gonna be with my parents and they love visiting and they've got fun stuff planned for them and all the fruit snacks their heart could desire and more screen time and staying up later. So our kids are kind of looking forward to it as a vacation from us, basically, and our rules. So I think they're gonna have a great time as well, but I'm a little nervous. But yeah, Nick and I have been planning this trip for a really long time. We are going a little bit earlier than our 10-year anniversary, so we're feeling pretty confident we'll still make it to 10 years, but we're gonna go, it's June now, so we're going in June rather than waiting till July when it's busier and hotter. So we're gonna be in Paris for the first like 7 nights. We're also going to go to Mont Saint Michel. We're going to go to the Loire Valley and visit some chateaus there. We're gonna stay in a castle. And then our last night, we're gonna be staying like right next to the Eiffel Tower. I cannot tell you how excited I am. Oh my gosh. I've been packed for a long time for this trip. Like it's currently about 2 days until we leave. I've been packed for like a week basically. And I just wanna say, I know most of you guys watch my videos for the adoption content, like the informational adoption content, but I really appreciate those of you who watch like these random chatty things as well. I don't know, I personally, like some of my favorite people I watch on YouTube, I love videos like this. And I know not everyone is like that, but I am, probably because I'm nosy and I want to know about people's lives. But if you're watching this, I really appreciate you for that. And I appreciate those of you also who have watched some of my travel vlogs in the past. So I know I've done some like with the kids when we went to Disney World, when we went on the Disney cruise. And I have loved making those because the kids and I watch those all the time. Like we'll just pull it up on my phone or on the TV and it's just fun to rewatch. So it's like kind of for us, but it's also fun to share with others. I did like a Washington, D.C. one, all, you know, a couple different things, but I will be vlogging our France trip. I'm very excited to just like to make the memories there and to have a way to look back on it. I love having those videos to look back on trips because it just reminds you of how you felt in that moment, and hopefully some of you will enjoy it as well. I know it's like not relevant to my channel at all. If you are someone who has watched one of my travel vlogs before, you should put a heart emoji in the comments because I like to see who those people are. I know sometimes people comment and I do appreciate that. So yeah, you can be looking pretty soon, probably by the time this video goes up. This probably won't be posted until I get back, but I wanted to record it before I left. Pretty soon, I'm sure you can expect like the first France vlog. I also have another adoption Q&A video coming up where I need to finish from before. It's obviously been a little crazy. Clearly it's been a little crazy getting ready for this trip because I still have not done the part 2. So I will be doing another Q&A video that you can check out soon as well. Anyway, if you enjoyed this little chatty random video, you can feel free to give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you haven't yet, you could subscribe so you don't miss my France vlogs and the upcoming Q&A. Plus it's just fun, you know, it's free. If you've made it through this chatty random video, I mean, a lot of my videos are a lot better than this, so you might as well subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to catching up with you soon, and I will see you in the next one.